Authentic life.
Yes. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Authentic Life show. It's been a good drive, a good journey from the beginning of the year till now. And it's been wonderful. It's been very, very wonderful that we're able to do this. And I trust that throughout the journey, you've gained one thing or the other as we have proceeded to talk about different things, how we have related things, to help you lead that meaningful life. That's our goal, is to educate you. We believe in the power of information, not only information, but education. And not only education, action. But because it's one thing to, and you will agree with me, it's one thing to know, but it's one thing to act on what you know.
Right.
And is another thing to act on the right thing, because habits are formed, good or bad habits, based on what we know or what we're exposed to. Mm-hmm. And the habits are because of consistency. Many of the habits that many of us have picked up from our past, is affecting us today, good or bad.
Right.
We are where we are today by the discipline that we have embraced. Discipline is what, about what we do daily. One thing about habit is that you come to that time where you are not actually conscious of doing it. You're just doing it. It becomes our new normal, whether good or a good habit or bad habit. Mm-hmm. And we want to talk about those things today as we wrap up this year. And we're going to be using the book written by Emanuel Shidali. I think it's inverted, but you can see Ultimate Breakthrough. He's going to talk about it. We're going to discuss a lot of information about it. I've read this through this book several times. And, because I know we're going to discuss it, I've read it again. I read it from cover to cover. So it's a good book that you need to have. It's a book that I will recommend strongly, because it tells you how you can lead. Now, I want to point to something today before I let you tell us about yourself. Actually, two things. You mentioned something about why you wrote this book, and maybe you will expatiate on that later on. But I want to begin with your own personal mission. You said my mission is to help people maximize their performance and break through to achievement in their personal and professional lives. Not only that, you said, I love to share my story on how I went from helpless financial and professional struggle to empowerment to get desired results. And, and the reason you wrote this book is this. It says, you know what, let me stop there. Let's talk about you, and then we'll now talk about why you wrote this book. Because I think that is fascinating, that you are able to recognize who you are, what you are about.
Right.
And then consistently articulate what you are about to people around you. And I think you mentioned something about that as we go into the book, where you talk about beware of aimlessness and distraction. And you talk about building a self-image. I love yours is a journey of success, a struggle to success. Right. And then you break through, and then you want to share that experience with people today. So why don't we get to know you? Right. And then we would now talk about why you wrote this book.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I think that's a very good point to start from, right? So, and it's knowing my background is going to be a link between where I am now and where I was before, right? So just want to quickly share that I was born and raised in Nigeria by a parent, a teacher, by profession, right? And also a minister, a gospel minister, a pastor, right? So I was brought up to believe in God and to know that I'm here in this world to serve God and prepare myself for eternity, which is awesome. It's good. So I tend to come out from that kind of background, right, where I was not really brought up in a way to pursue life, to pursue greatness in life, but to think about where I'm going to spend my eternity, which is the ultimate goal. But in the meantime, before we pass out of this world, we have to walk through life journey, right? And the life journey that we tend to, focus more on is the spiritual life, myself and the devil, and not becoming old, not sinning, and something like that, right? So this is where my journey began. So now for me personally, I have dreams, right? I have hopes in life of what to do, what I want to become, right? To have a good life and live well, and at the end of my life to make that heaven, right? To be in the right place when I die, So now it becomes, all right, this is reality. This is my life now. I gotta live it, right? I'm gonna have to make money. I'm gonna have to have a good career. So now, and all I've been taught is go to school, find a job, right? So those are the kind of place where I came from until, I start to encounter, life, trouble, right? So, you want to go to school now. There's strike, right? You want to go to school, there's not enough finance. You want to go to school, there are all these kind of challenges, right? So this is where I now find myself, and I realized I thought, yes, I need to now rely, on my parents. When I say rely, that's 100%.
Wow.
Right. To provide that financial support, to provide everything that I needed, right? So that's the mindset of the place I was raised, right? So you have to do that. So I would say that's like 100 or 95% of the norm, right? So that's when I begin to, see that even though you have dreams, even though you have hopes, and you think, this is what you deserve, things are not going to happen because there are hurdles, there are problems in life. And this is where I begin to now, move from my instincts, right, from people's experience and story, and began to, take full responsibility. Do you understand? So rather than say, I want to do this, I can't because of this. See the story we tell ourselves. I'm not happy because somebody broke my heart, Then keep telling that story. I'm not in a very good financial condition. Why? Because I don't have a good job. Why? Because I don't have good education. Why? See? So we start blaming and start putting all this responsibility and control to things around us rather than within us. And that's where, I began to do that. And I see when I start to take responsibility for myself, I start learning, I start growing, I start expanding, right? And this is where I now moved. Went to study a little bit in Nigeria for my O levels, then now go to England and study up to my masters, and then start working. And then from there I came to Canada, also start working as a consultant, start developing and enjoying the kind of life I really want to enjoy. So, and this is now where that passion comes into place. I start thinking about people in the same condition. Start hearing people's stories, right? And I thought, yes, this is what I've learned. I've studied, I've gone to different seminars, and now I've attended, I had coaches to help me to figure out where and what I'm struggling with, right? So that's when I started to see, yes. And I love this kind of personal development industry where I can start to share what I've learned over the years. Not even myself, I was thinking about my kids, my family, what can I put down? And that's what drives this publication of my book. Then I start to do some coaching here and there and start developing myself along that path. So that's my story in a nutshell. So currently, I work in IT as a software engineer. I worked for over 10 years as a consultant, and I work now for full time for an insurance company in Canada. So also by the side, which is my hobby, right? In a way, like this is my life purpose, where I want to contribute to people's life. I want to help people change and shape their mindset to learn to take responsibility for their lives. So this is where I am. So currently married as well, with 3 kids. So really handful. So I just gonna stop there. So and and basically, also volunteer here and there in different non-profit organizations, to just help and support, to bring up people to change, to influence people to change and become what they're capable of becoming, rather than telling ourselves stories that stops us from being what we're capable of becoming.
Wow. I love, people have stories, and you've got to settle down to listen to people's story, whether as they share it with you personally, or what they've written in their books or tapes, or learning through other people what other people's stories are, because that's how we learn about life, to see how they face different barriers and the obstacles. In your introduction, you said something that I actually noted here. That when you were growing up, there are 2 main things that religion exposed us to. Number one is to serve God.
Right.
But they don't define for us what serving God means. And number 2 is to prepare us to.
They do what, in the sense that you have to go to church.
That is it.
Make use of a talent and win souls, right? So
that is it.
That's it. Yeah.
So it's a limited definition
Exactly.
of service.
Exactly.
Because
Thank you.
service goes beyond the walls of a church building. Service is being able to be your best, to wear. And we've talked about service in this, I think we spent like almost a month talking about service. That is about releasing yourself to be a blessing. It's about developing yourself, using what God has given to you to be, to be of help,
right,
to raise the quality of people's life around you.
Yeah, and ultimately will make this world a better place.
A better place.
Yeah,
because
found it all. Yeah.
So service is that, and because if we don't serve well here, to make heaven will be difficult.
Exactly.
But for some people, they've seen heaven as an escape route. So they want to do minimal, so that they can get to enjoy heaven. But we know that God sees our contributions.
Right.
So if you don't contribute here, chances are higher you probably will not make heaven.
Yeah, just to add to that, I've heard about, just to want to share stories about people that have had this lifetimes or near-death experience, or they actually died and they are on the way. And they always, not 1 or 2 stories, multiple stories that confirm this, that they died and they find themselves in a very brighter place. And they thought, oh, this is a very good place. And they got set back. That it's not your time. You still have work to fulfill. So it's about this fulfillment in life.
And that's why service
just to buttress. Yes, just to buttress to your point that if we are not fulfilled here on earth, heaven will not accept us. And when you want to look at the scriptures, then it says, when we do what we are supposed to do here on earth, then we hear this voice as, welcome thou faithful servant. That means we have delivered what has been committed to our hands to deliver.
That's a very powerful one, sir. That's a very powerful one. Because you don't tell somebody well done. Except in my culture. In my culture, we have different greetings for different people. So you know somebody that is standing doing nothing, you still tell them, well done. Well done for what? For standing.
Just to call that person's attention to, okay.
Yeah.
You're wasting your time, right?
Yeah. But Jesus, when we look at the context that surrounds that statement, well done, you faithful servant, it's about fulfilling, it's about service, it's about bringing life, making a contribution. So if you are not making a contribution and you want to get to heaven, you probably will not hear the master saying, well done, thou good and faithful servant. If you are not making use of your talent, if you are burying it, you won't hear that voice. So that is why when we need to retrain ourselves to have a proper understanding of what service is, that it goes beyond the four walls of the church. We need to think not only locally, globally, generationally too, to see that we are making an impact, we are contributing. And that leads me to this book, where the ultimate book, I'm reading, I'm just going to read verbatim, just on page. They say, this book is for you if you find yourself blaming your struggles and painful life experience on your background and situation. You see, Ultimate Breakthrough is a book I publish to share insightful information to help you break through barriers holding you back from maximizing your performance, which is service. And you say something, you say it will help you find and understand the meaning of your life, take responsibility to develop and express yourself to make a difference in the world. Talk a little bit about that, because I think that is very powerful. So that means if I'm reading this book, I should expect to get some knowledge that can empower me to break through some limitation that whether environment has put on me or the one that I've put on myself, and take responsibility and stop blaming or making excuse.
Exactly.
And stop seeing somebody else as the problem. The reason I'm like this is because of this, So when you read this book, you will take to that place where you will stop blaming people. Talk about that a little bit, as we progress today.
Yeah. So in this book now, I went through the 7 main barriers. The 7 major barriers. So, and when I did my research, I compared that to my own personal stories, research different successful people's stories as well, and align and say, okay, these are the key 7 barriers that stops us from functioning the way God wants us to function, and being able to break through those barriers are the keys to success. And then they start with being aimless. You don't have a goal. You don't have a purpose. You don't have an intention. Then the mind then becomes scattered. Then when you look at fulfillment, that means there's a goal, there's a point, there is what is called a target that you want to reach. You understand? So if you're able to reach that target, then you are fulfilled that goal and that target. And this is back to this statement where it's when we die, we want to hear that voice, faithful servant, well done, because you have gone through what you need to do, get done. And this it takes, when you look at the statement, you will see a sense of responsibility in there. Well done. That means you've done it well.
Not just doing it, but you have to do it well.
Do it well.
That's why you get well done.
Yeah, so well done, right? So well done, that means there are barriers, there are obstacles, and you overcame. So that you've done it well for you to be able to succeed. And this is a key that's missing in people's life until when we come to that realization that I should have the I think in our last discussion we talked about this control too, right? Right. See that when you have full control of where you want to go, then the right resources will be attracted to you. I don't know if you understand this. So when we look at our lives, you now realize that when you sit down idly, it says there's this adage, it says heaven help those who help themselves. In the sense that when you take responsibility and you're taking that action, then the angels, the heavens, they will say, yes, let's go for this person's aid.
You know, I have, as you're talking about it, I have this, I think I read this quote somewhere, I can't remember, but it says, when the person decides of where to go, it said the universe will conspire to make it happen.
Exactly.
So the first responsibility that I need to take for my life is to determine what my purpose.
The purpose.
It's not.
I will talk a lot about this too. Yeah.
And we don't have to recreate anything. You just need to discover it.
Where do I fit in? I love that in this world.
Let's talk about that, because in the book you mentioned that. How do I know where I fit in? And you gave us some insight as to how people can discover where they fit in, because it's about fitting in. If I don't know where I fit in, I'm going to be a misfit.
That's what causes. That's the main issue we have with self-esteem. Because we don't know where we fit in, so we want to generalize or we want to compare ourselves with other people in a non-productive way. So let's cite for the example now. Let's say we have a project, right? Say we want to construct maybe we want to create like a phone, for example. So, for example, let's say an iPhone. When people talk about who's the producer of iPhone, people just link it to Apple. And when it's what's the face behind Apple, people talk about Steve Jobs, right? Is it Steve Jobs that makes the hardware? Is it the one that makes the software? No. Now, he had a vision. This is what I think can happen, right? Then you now start thinking, oh yes, I need this engineer, I need a designer, I need the hardware, I need the product design. So we see programmers and testers and everybody, marketers, right? And salespeople, easy. I think, where do I fit in? Look at the vision. Now, you now align yourself based on your talent, based on your passion, right? And find where you can make use of it.
That's a very powerful one.
A sense of contribution, right?
That's a very powerful one. Because, so let's look at it. I love when you look at vision and where I fit in. In Genesis chapter 1 verse 22, I love this scripture very, very well. God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness and let them rule over. That is God's vision.
Right.
That is God's overall.
Exactly.
Vision. What he wants to get.
He had a vision of what the world should look like.
And who should be responsible for that. Then, out of that vision now, I have to find where I fit in.
All right.
That's what you are saying? Okay, Steve Jobs had this idea of creating this vision. Then people now begin to look at where they fit in.
Yeah. So and where you fit into, you now have a vision, because it becomes, when it says find too, you have to see. So vision of where you fit in too. You have this big vision. Then you have, so this big vision is an overall vision that is saying this is the main goal.
Yeah.
Which is actually bigger than everybody. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than myself. Then you have to create a vision for yourself of where you fit in.
Big picture.
Yeah, create a vision for yourself where you fit in there too.
Wow. So there's a big vision. God said, But I think the struggle is that many of us have not even actually sit down and look at God's big vision.
Mm-hmm.
That is why we have not been praying well. We've been praying amiss because we have not seen the big vision. And then that's why we have not really engaged ourselves, because we have not seen the big picture.
Right.
So when we begin to see God's big vision, then we can be able now to appropriate, because our talent and our skills and our abilities are created to fit into that vision.
Right.
So that's why we have interest. Not everyone has interest as a developer. Not everyone has an interest in IT.
Right.
Everybody has different interests based on their vision.
And within that IT, there are different interests too.
So so this what we're talking about, and this is where we get our image from. And I know you mentioned that success is about image,
right?
But image is about, the reason there was image is because there's a purpose.
Yeah, there's a purpose, there's a vision, exactly.
So that image will fit in.
So once you see the image, then you now identify yourself as that image.
Based on where you fit in.
Based on where you fit in. So now, can you see the issue with self-esteem?
How you appraise yourself.
Yes, exactly. It's because you don't have a vision of yourself and where you fit in, and an image of who you are. That means where you want to go.
So if you have the vision of where you fit in,
right,
then you will see yourself that you are very important to what God wants to achieve.
And exactly, because I love that. When they look at the survey of job satisfaction, people always complain about recognition. They're not being recognized.
Not even money.
No. It's satisfaction. It's fulfillment. God didn't create human being for money, because if you make the money, you're just going to spend it here. But the spirit, the inner being, after we die, it's going to be based on that fulfillment, the satisfaction you had, your experience here on earth.
So let me get this straight now. So we're not talking about fulfillment, purpose, vision, fitting, recognition, that we are here to express our being. So we must. So if we don't express our being by doing who we are, then we won't hear good and well done, you good and faithful servant.
You won't. Why? Because you won't be able to. You're gonna stay stuck. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
So for example, when you have a phone, and that phone is meant for communicating, doing whatever you want to do with that phone, and you're not making use of that phone will be idle. And remember, even if you keep it long, for more than 2 or 3 days, it's gonna die. But if you're using it, you know, okay, this battery is running, or I need to charge it again. You bring it back to life because you're using it. So if you're not using it, that talent, that vision, that passion is going to die. And one will not find fulfillment in one's life. So life will become meaningless.
So that's why there is a connection between purpose and meaning.
Yeah.
Now, right. you mentioned something, because as we begin to, you mentioned something here, and I'm going to say discovering your life purpose is the process of understanding the meaning of your life, what you are born to become and express to make a difference in people's life. So you don't even, even everything we do is about making a difference.
Exactly.
In somebody else's life.
Yes.
So Steve Jobs doesn't really make that apple to make himself happy. He made the phone to make a difference in somebody's life.
Yeah, it was now before we used to use all this tape recorder before. And when they started with the what's it called, this product, is it iPhone? No, not the iPhone,
iPod, yeah.
Yeah, so those cases can only store maybe one album, depending on the capacity. And I was thinking, oh no, how can I stop 1,000 without carrying multiple cassettes in my bag and keep going? So how can I compile everything into? So he had an idea. How can I make? You now think of it. How can I make world easier for people? Can you see the thought? How can I make things easier for people? I don't want people to start carrying stuff all about. I want everything to be in one place so that you can easily access it.
So what you're saying that that understanding my purpose change my thinking pattern.
It changes everything.
It changes how I think. Yeah. It makes my thinking broader, larger. It expands me.
And you see, back to this point then, when he was thinking, what can we do to do this? To make people's life easier. That was his question. That was his goal. I think we should be able to create a device that can do this. That was his thought. That's a vision. He was not the one that proposed the solution.
They just plant the seed and make other people think about it.
Yes, so now attracted people that fit in to that vision. To now think, produce something.
That's powerful. That's a powerful principle. That when I understand where I'm heading, it will be easier for me to attract the right people.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So the barrier then, if I want to stop drifting, I need to know my why.
Exactly. So that's why I say that's the first principle. When you know the why, you have the vision, and you focus on it.
You said something in the book here, and I'm going to read. So I think you said something here that I think is very, very important in the process of finding our why. In one of the chapter there, I think I think I reference it somewhere. Just give me one moment. That right. I think that I think is very, very important. You're talking about many of us. He said an average human mind is programmed to focus on thinking about their problems rather than the solution.
Right.
And I think the reason, I might be wrong, but the reason people might not be finding their purpose is because they are so stuck about just what we eat, what we will drink, what we're going to wear, that becomes what drives us. The lower level that I think Maslow calls the basic need of life. The basic needs of life. That right. is not allowing us to see the higher purpose. Because the higher purpose is that we responsibility and rulership of the earth.
Right.
Is it not funny that most of the corruption in the world today is based on this? Because when you
thank you, sir. I love that.
When you start thinking about higher purpose, the basic needs of life do not have any control over you anymore.
Yes.
Let's talk about that briefly.
Yes. Thinking about my intention initially was, okay, I want to have a good life. I want to have a good job, right? Right. And when I was going to school, that was basic need. And when I was able to get that, then I started to think, higher. How can I contribute? It's now beyond my basic needs. It's not about what I drink, my safety anymore. It's like now start finding purpose and meaning. Because when the moment you eat, you sleep, you wake up, is it what life is all about? You now realize, no, this is not life.
It's a very powerful question.
Boring, right?
What can I contribute?
Right.
That is the question we need to ask ourselves to unleash our sense of purpose. What can I contribute? Because when we start knowing what we can contribute, then we start asking other questions. How do I contribute it? Where? Who do I contribute it to?
Right.
How far can I go? Who do I need to come to bring along with me?
Yes.
What talent do I have to be able to make this contribution?
Exactly. And when you now look at your life story and how you broke through a series of issues, and this is where a lot of people find their purposes as well.
So problem is not that bad.
No.
Itself.
Maybe the way you are raised, maybe your challenges in the family, and this is the story people keep telling themselves. But they are meant, for us to find meaning in life.
Say that again. So the problems that we face are there to help us to find meaning. Otherwise, that's why your problem is so unique to you.
Right.
To help you find meaning.
I'm gonna back up that story, that principle. When you look at the life of great masters in the world, like someone like Jesus, he spent 30 years of his life to navigate life and experience what it is like to live in a mortal body. Now, and he was able to overcome all those issues. Now, when you now look at his purpose, when he stated his purpose, now he didn't say, I come for people that they're already having good life. He came for people that are struggling with life, to show them how to live life. Can you see?
Yeah. It came for people that are struggling in life and with life, to show them how to live.
Yeah. And then when you look at his life now, so he never had a pleasant life. People are expecting, the wise men expected him to be born in a palace. As a matter of fact, he went to the king's palace and asked of his, no, but he was born alone in a lonely place. He went through all these challenges in life.
Based on his purpose.
Based on his purpose. Thank you, sir.
So that means
he was able to have compassion. And when he said he got moved with compassion when he sees people struggling.
Based on his purpose.
Based on his purpose.
Because other people might have seen those kind of people too and just don't know what to do.
Some might blame people. Right. You're suffering because of this, because of your parent. Yes, that's good for you.
I was talking to somebody that loved to fix something, and they just don't like poor quality of videos. They just don't like it. To me, well, I can just talk and but for them, it's not the talk, it's the quality.
Yeah,
that is part of their purpose. So they've seen a problem.
Yeah,
and some people can't stand a messy place.
Yeah, thank you. You see, so they want to fix it. See. They see the problem, thank you. So it's always linked to the problem. And how can you fix the problem and make the difference?
But if I spend my time fixating on the problem, and I'm not asking a leading question, not only what is wrong here, but what can we do to correct or rectify the situation? I think that is the question we need to ask ourselves.
Right. So now see, back to my point that is what you've broke, you're able to overcome. That what actually helps you to become. And then when you now become, you're able to find purpose because you now see other people going through the same issue. And you want to make a difference in their lives too. Right.
That is a very powerful one. What you are able to overcome in order to become.
Yeah.
What you are able to overcome in order to become.
Right.
What you are able to overcome in order to become.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very powerful principle.
So it's easier for us to find a purpose in that situation.
So instead of me complaining about how bad situation is, how unethical my parents are, how, worse I've gotten it in life, we've got to begin to see, okay, what can I do to overcome this situation?
Exactly.
So that I can become the person that is in charge.
Right.
So that brings us back again to that place of self-image.
Right.
Isn't that interesting that the first thing that God gave to man was image?
It's image. And that's one of those things I focus on in coaching. Now, when people tell you their stories, we always talk about this self-image, this is about mindset, right? Right. So when people tell you their story, they tell you stories based on their experience, right? And people can stay in that story for years, forever, if not in their life, they don't get the right intervention for someone to call them out. Oh, this is what you're telling me. What can you do differently? How can you make it different? How can you make it change? You have this power. You don't think you can make change? Don't you think you can focus this energy on what you want? Right. So that is where you help people to come up with that. Ask questions that helps people to deep inside themselves and take responsibility to get out of that rut.
Now, you let's move on, because I want us to just touch some things in this book, and I want to again encourage you to find this book on Amazon. I believe maybe before we finish, you probably will tell us where to find it, or maybe on your website too, Ultimate Breakthrough, so that you can, just read. We're just touching here and there on in the book, so that we want to just give you something to look forward to as you are reading the book and expatiate on it, so that you can become the person that you ought to be and overcome the barrier that you need to overcome, so that you can become. It's about overcoming. It's because at the end of the day, you want to hear that voice, good and faithful servant. Well done.
Right.
Well done. Because you have done everything you can do well.
Right.
Not just do it alone. All right. Now, let's talk about, you talk about here, about the beware of disorganization and neglect. I think that is barrier 5. And I realized that sometimes it's not even for people who have found their purpose. Sometimes this is one of the challenges that they have, is they don't know how to really now focus on the focus. So to know what tools do I need to do to help me focus here. So they are all over the place.
Exactly.
So let's talk about that. How do we come to that place where I'm able to now concentrate all my attention on what I'm focusing on?
Right. Exactly. Because when you look at the mind is not meant to stay focused. It's meant to wander, different, according to research, I think the human mind thinks over 10,000 thoughts in a day. And now look at these principles. It says, as a man thinks, so it is. If the mind engaged in 10,000 thoughts a day, right, and you're not producing that 10,000 stuff, that means there's a problem with distraction.
So if you are not as productive as what your mind is concentrating on, there's distraction.
Yeah. If you're not as productive as you ought to be, I put it that way, then there's distraction.
So you have to. So every day now calls us to take the responsibility to maximize ourselves in the day, and that's why worry is worry is problematic because it's making you to focus on the wrong thing.
Focus on the wrong thing, and that's what you're gonna get.
That will choke you and siphon life out of you.
When I say yes, it's gonna choke you. I put it this way. It's kind of interesting. When people talk about the good and the bad, they're still using their mind. So worry is focusing your attention on what you do not want,
that you can't do anything about.
That you feel powerless about. Yes, you feel. Yeah, okay. The worry says, yeah, it's good to have this kind of thought. Oh, what if this happens? That question should direct you to focus on solution, to either mitigate it or find ways to mitigate that event from happening. Or you find out, okay, what if this happens? This is the solution to it.
So it's either so your mind can help you. So worry then can create, okay, well, there's something to focus on because the mind always finds something to focus on. But you have to discipline it to be able to focus on the good thing. Exactly. So when I worry, then that is me allowing my mind to focus on the negative thing.
To take control of you.
To take control of me. Instead of now saying, okay, how do I mitigate this situation? How do I control it? What can I do to bring solution?
Yeah, and focus on that.
And focus on that instead of whatever else is happening.
All right. Let's put it this way. There's this tornado, which is natural disaster. Nobody expected it in a state. I was just listening to the news before this show. And then we know this potential things that can happen. Then what do you do? Are you going to keep sleeping every day and keep worrying? Right. But what do you do? You insure your house. You insure your property in the event that, or in case that this thing happens. Then if you don't have the money, then the insurance companies, they're going to take care of it, right? Then that gives me peace of mind. But because I've already taken care of it,
you have been
with the
proactive.
Insurance, I'm proactive. Now, if I've now failed to do that, then that worry will keep coming up every day. So I'm not able to sleep.
And it will create another issue.
It creates another issue. That's just an example of how to manage the worry. So back to the point that let's assume this is my goal. This is what I want to become. This is my purpose. If you're not being active and proactive on taking that responsibility every day and working towards that, which we want to become, then it becomes a problem.
Then you talk about in the process of dealing with disorganization and neglect, you talk about you talk about planning. That is habit number 15, planning.
Right.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that is key. If you are if you don't plan, you plan to fail.
Right.
And the worry will not allow us to plan. Worry will stop us from planning.
Right.
And when you are not planning, you are not being proactive. And if you are going to lead and rule, you need to plan.
Exactly.
Somebody has said, he said the difference between a forest and a garden is the planning. Because you take time to plan the garden.
Right.
Forests just grow. A tree grows wherever they want to grow. They go as tall as they want to go.
Mm-hmm.
But in a garden, you are very meticulous and determine where you want things to be and fit in.
Right.
So that you want, and when you plan to, it helps you not to neglect something, because you can be able to channel the resources to the right places.
Right.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because if I understand the barrier that, okay, I need to know my purpose, I need to know where I fit in, but I don't know how to manage my time effectively, or my mind effectively, or the resources that is available to me.
Right.
Because everything is all over the place.
Exactly.
Then I won't be able to become what I ought to be.
All right.
So let's talk about that, because you mentioned that in your book.
Yeah, that's one of the main barriers, major barriers, right, that stop a lot of people, right? So when I ask people this question generally, so what subject did you take in school about planning? None. No. Right. And this is why we find it difficult to be able to get things done. That's why good planners are the ones that either create organizations, that create businesses, and employ those people that don't know about planning. Okay, so they now get a manager. Yeah, just manage them, right? Have a supervisor, manage them. So the manager, the supervisors, they know about planning. So they're just using the people as the resources and tools to direct them. This is what you do. This is what you do. You see? So a leader, a manager is a leader. So if you want to lead your life, you must know how to plan your life. Because when you know how to plan your life, then you now need this planning now becomes how to allocate time, how to allocate resources to what you need to get done there. You know for sure this is how much time it's going to take me.
Is that one that's why God rested on the seventh day, because it was a good planner?
Exactly.
So there is a correlation between planning and resting.
Exactly.
Because he didn't create everything at once.
No.
A plan is there.
And there are item lists of to do to get done on each day. So the one he created this. So let's say there's to do for each day. To do list.
And then he made man at the end of the day to help govern it.
Exactly.
So the person
that's a plan. That's a plan too, right? That's a plan.
That's a plan, yes.
Yeah. It's a plan. A plan, okay, I created everything. This is the vision. I've put everything in place. Now you, guy, you have to take care of everything. It's a plan.
And when he realizes that Adam was doing too much, he brought Eve in.
Yeah, I need someone to help, right? That's a plan. Right.
That's a very powerful thought.
Right.
So because plan helps us to mitigate against mistakes and delay. And competition and be ahead of ourselves.
Right. And this is where people, this very common phrase that God has a plan for you. That means that everything that we need to become is already deposited in you. It's just meant for us to start unfolding it by asking questions. And that comes to this point where when they say, this is my vision, then the first place to begin is, what do I need to do to get to this place? And if we go through that book, then that's where you now list those action steps to break it down. So at that point, you're trying to identify what needs to be done. God must have had it in the mind that I want to create a world. And this is what I want this world to look like. That's why he was able to identify, okay, there should be a firmament, there should be there's land, there should be sand, there should be rivers, there should be water, there should be herbs, all those things. It's a plan. Then everything had to work together, and decided to implement it. Day by day by day. And I've see. So when we ask the question, what do I need to get done to fulfill? Right. This vision, right? Then we start writing it down. So it might be just probably, for example, this hosting this this discussion show, it is a plan that we have to implement. There's a plan for the month. There's a plan for the year. They have to implement. So just like for each plan, for each day, they have to think about, okay, I need to spend more time to design this. I need to spend time to do this. See how much time is going to take me. It's a plan. And if this plan is not there, then everything will be good, disorganized, right?
That's a very, very powerful way to look at it. And I think this is where many people, I want us to talk about planning. And, you plan and somebody will tell you, oh, well, I have my plan, but life happens. What do we do in that situation where, people, they wake up in the morning and say, I plan my life, this is how I want my life to be. But for example, somebody will plan something and COVID happens and shut everything down. How do we, when things are not falling in place according to our plan, what do we do?
Right. So, I think what I've learned is none of distraction. So, things might hinder you or stop you from implementing the tax comes to just stop it, internet.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's from my hand here, I'm not sure. The categories of things that can happen to people, right? I don't know if you get my point, right?
Yes. I'm not sure. It looks full, yeah.
Okay, maybe it's my hand. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay. There are different categories of things that can come as distraction. So maybe you plan for something. So when, for example, I want to write one page of a book, right? And I put right between 7 and 8. Right. And I'm on my desk writing, and a call just come up. My phone just rang. That becomes a distraction. So now, if it's something, a call that I think is important, I can pick up the call and say, hey, hello, how are you? Right. Can I talk to you in the next 1 hour or next, I'm in the middle of a task now, right? I don't have to pick it, but I think, oh, maybe it's my spouse or my child is calling. So it might be urgent to them. Or I just want to pass on the information. Is it urgent? Is this something that needs to stop me? That I need to stop now and I need to focus on right away? Once I discover it's not something urgent, okay, I deal with that later on. See how to manage that distraction. So, for example, if I don't have that schedule at that point, I'm going to be carried away by that. Now, now think of the COVID now. We used to host this, where, is it bi-weekly? Sorry, not, it's quarterly.
Quarterly, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we scheduled one and this COVID just happened. I think we need to...
We schedule one,
maybe
we postpone it,
yeah.
And then on the day, we have to...
Exactly. And we thought, okay, maybe it's going to be 2-3 months, and alas, not. But we figure out the way. So the point is this, what's the goal? What's the purpose? Reach out to people. And we were able to figure out other ways to overcome it.
Mm.
And that it never stopped us. And actually, I would say they expanded the organization. See? So you see now, so this is where the creativity comes into place, because you have a focus, you have a plan. But the goal is, what do you want to do, right? What's the objective? What's the goal?
So what you're saying is this, that instead of a barrier becoming a kind of inhibitor stopping us, when we have a plan, when we can find a way around it, it's either we bulldoze it or we find a way around it. And still not lose sight of...
Yeah, there's this creativity.
That's where creativity comes in.
Yeah.
So, but if I don't have that plan...
So you see that...
Go ahead.
Yeah, you just mentioned it. You just said it. If you don't have that plan, then...
I'm just throwing the towel.
Yeah. If you don't have that plan, you won't probably even schedule it. And if you don't schedule it, you're just going to be living every day. Everything comes, then wake up in the day and say, what I want. Oh, life is boring. What can I do today? All right. They start thinking about irrelevant things that doesn't really make. It's going to help one to fulfill one's life.
Yeah. Let me just read from a page here. Just points here. Page 141, where it talks about effective planning blueprint. You talk about step 1. You talk about I believe it's seven steps here. I just quickly want to read it just to buttress what we've been talking about. It said, be clear on your goal objective, what you want to achieve. Then you say, identify the activities. I think that's a very powerful one. Know what you want to do. And you talk about break down the activities. Not only identify the activities, you break it down. Okay, this is what I want to do now. And you said something that it will help you stay focused on the smaller tasks. Schedule your time and resources efficiently when you break down the activities.
Right.
And then you mentioned something about prioritize the tasks, because every activity does not have the same priority. So you need to, in other words, you take the one that is from the most important to the least important, and then you find a way to actually delegate some.
Exactly.
And I think that is the problem we are facing, is because many of us have not learned to delegate. Because
just want to get everything done.
Everything by ourselves.
Yeah.
And then,
go on, sir.
And that's a recipe. That's a recipe for disaster, because you want to do everything by yourself. You're going to get burnout, and you're not going to make very major impact in pursuing your stuff. There are some things that you can't do. You can do it. There are some things you can't do, and you have to do that. Yeah, there are some things you can't do. There are some things you can't do well. But there are some things too that you can do and you can do well, but other people too can do it. These are some things that you need to let them do what they need to do. Even though you can do it well, but let them do it so that you can focus on what is more important. And then you look at identify the required resources. Then you look at create a schedule. And the last one is create a visual network plan. What does that mean?
Right. So I use that a lot. Right. In my work day. So for sure, it's like having this is it helps you to be able to identify the time. So all what we just did now, for example, say today call the customer. I'm going to put in there, separate, then go for shopping. I'm going to put it there, separate. Then on that circle, I'm going to put in how much time it's going to take me to shop. So I'm going to say 1 hour, call the customer, 30 minutes. Right. So I'm not just say call the customer. So I can call the customer and the customer can be, talking. For the next 1 hour, 2 hours. But my schedule is 30 minutes. So I know how to plan my call, what I want to say, the point I want to pass on, what I need to get, the information I need to get. I know, you still break it down so that I can fit into that 30 minutes, for sure. So you don't just leave everything open. Okay, let's call, So for example, we call have a weekly calls. 1 hour schedule. So we call, then, okay, next thing, yeah, it's 1 hour, then we cut off. Not because we don't want to talk more. But we have another schedule you have to meet up with. So you see what we're talking about. It helps because you plan the schedule, so it keeps you focused, in check, get a lot done that way. So back to this network. It helps. So when you now finish, that one is marked, it's done. Cross it out. This one is done. Cross it out. It helps to become organized and focused for the day.
Yeah, this is a very powerful one, because I remember we were talking about creating for another program that we run, creating a curriculum, and we're just looking at, okay, we have to say this lot of ideas bobbing, and you mentioned something and said sometimes when you write it down, you realize that ideas go together.
Yeah,
that you can now compound those ideas, and instead of you say, okay, I have these ideas, can you put them together? Can they flow together? And I think this is what you are trying to say too. To say, okay, all right, I have 1 hour to do shopping, but I have to drive from one end to the other. Can I quickly, in the process of driving, can I quickly make that call?
Thank you.
In the process,
right?
Because I know it has to be done, and there's a time allotted to it.
Exactly.
Or can I ask somebody to help me do this, do that? Because I think some of us, the reason we are disorganized because we are doing too much.
Yeah, you say you're busy and you're doing too much that's not necessarily productive, right?
Towards your desired end.
Towards the desired end. I like that. And that's the point. And that's where the fulfillment comes into place. This is what I want to be. And I was having a chat with my friend, one of my friend too, that is trying to create a business project too, and was saying he wanted to do this, wanted to do that, he wanted to do that. Different goals. He wanted to build like 2-3 business at the same time. And based on his experience, he realized that it is impossible for him. Only him to do that. You can do that if you find people that can help you to handle that. And now this is where responsibility comes into place. You should be in charge and responsibility of your life. So that means if you dedicate it to someone else without having an insight and control over it, that person will keep coming with stories every day that it's not done. And you might be paying this person. So you see, that's where the oversight comes into place. This is what the chief CEO, chief executive officer, that's what you do. Spend your life to do. You have the goal, you have the vision, and you're calling people that they're going to execute it. So you have chat. And a very good thing, look at his name again, Jeff Bezos. He has been running Amazon for so many years, and he thought this one is successful. Now he also started another organization, Blue, for the air space. And he realized, okay, now it looks like this is not functioning and developing the way it should be. Then it's okay, I've built it very well. I built the structure. I'm going to resign from this and go focus on this.
That's very powerful. Now, you mentioned something now as we go on, and I want us to look at, I know we've talked about it, but it's just keep on pumping in my mind. Prioritizing task and building structure. There are a lot of things to do to make, before you fulfill your vision. But so different activities require different time. And a different chunk of time too.
Yeah.
So what would you say? How do people prioritize that? Because this is where, and I know they've said procrastination, but sometimes if the task is not of high priority, I can procrastinate on purpose. And say, okay, I'm going to not do it right now. I will do it, but it's not what I need to do right now. And sometimes many of us don't really know where to call it to say, okay, should this be number one? Should this be number two? And so the priority now, so we do, even though it's the same task, but we do what is not urgent.
Yeah.
at the expense, and then we begin to scramble for time. So let's talk about, because for example, on at work, sometimes when I go to work, all of what I first of all do is to I put out fire. That's what I say, put out fire here and there, and so I delegate here and there. But sometimes it affects you from doing the main thing that you schedule. But all those things still have to be done because it's a full scope. But sometimes many of us don't know how to prioritize that and come to that place where it's okay. Well, can I do this right at the end of the day? That is procrastination on purpose. You still have to get it done because it's on to-do list, but it's not the hierarchy. Is not there on the list. So can you talk a little bit, and how do we create structure? Because there are some people right now that have kids, they are going to school, they have work, and they are not thinking about their life purpose. They are not thinking about how to contribute meaning. Or what to do to contribute to meaning, and they are not having that sense of satisfaction in them. Some people are going to school right now just because they want to get an education, but not something that is tallying with their sense of purpose. Some people too are confused as to kind of education they want to take because they've not really, look deeper into their life purpose. Let's look at it in a general way as we wrap up today.
Right. Yeah, that's a handful of questions. That's really powerful. I just want to talk about the priority first. When you want to talk about prioritizing, you must be able to identify. Back to the point that what do you need to get done? You have to list it. And this is what's called dependency. There's what is called dependency. Now, if I don't do this, then I can't do this.
That's a very powerful one.
Right. So that means this task, this is A, this is B. Then task B depends on A. So if I do B first, right, then how are you going to get this A done? So let's put it this way. You want to build a house. What's going to be the priority?
It's the foundation.
The foundation. And then even before the foundation, you already have the blueprint. So you now say you want to build the roof. Where's the roof going to stand? You stand on the structure. So you see, there's no way you can build a roof. You can build the roof, but it's going to be meaningless. Anything can happen because the roof is not standing on where it's supposed to stand. But you have to have the foundation, have the walls, have the lintel, make sure everything is standing, then you can construct the roof on top of it. So the same thing happens to any project you want to do. You want to fulfill your goals. Maybe the foundation is just going to study. Foundation might be reading. Foundation might be finding a mentor. So if you don't do that, and they say, yes, I want to be a speaker, and you don't know how to speak in a professional way, then just say, okay, I talk, then you keep talking, then you're not going to fulfill your purpose because you've not done the foundational, job. Where you can stand to be able to be able to withstand even problem, to withstand challenges, right? You understand the tricks and the principles of the trade, right? So maybe the foundation is study. Go get the education. Go get the experience. And that's why a lot of people even fail in life because maybe they are born to become a business person, an entrepreneur. And they have no idea, they have no experience in the business world. So they just say, I finished school, I want to get into the business world. They're going to fail woefully. Why? Because they don't have that foundation. So that's the point that, okay, you have to prioritize. So I need to learn. Spend 1 or 2 years to learn. then start building stuff. So that's just an example of prioritizing, just showing that, just an example. So
yeah, that's a very
for example, so you want to write now a book now. So you just want to keep writing. For example, you just want to keep writing here and there. It might take you forever. But once you have an outline and the different topics you want to address, you have, okay, what's the purpose of this book? Then this is the end goal. Then you have to start with the idea. You have to start with the outline. Or this is what I need to put in there. This is what I need to put in there. Then you start writing and developing that way. So otherwise, if you're gonna start, I want to be writing, you're just gonna be writing, and everything's gonna be scattered all over everywhere.
So the structure then is the why and the chapters.
Yes,
that is the structure. Because somebody, and I like the idea of this idea of dependency. If I do this, I need to do this to get this done.
Right.
And sometimes some of us don't really know what that is. And that's why we are frustrated, because what these things is that other things depend on it. And I think that is where many people are majoring in minor things. Because they don't know what that particular thing is.
And that's back to this point, and that's why we waste time and energy. And the longer we keep circling this way, the longer we can easily give up, right? Because you don't have that sense of focus, attention, right? And the other stuff we can delegate too. Then this one is done, then I don't have to do it. So everything is now, put everything together, you get the result.
So let's, it's like, I don't think, maybe we have to come back to this book again. And you got to just buy this, you just to go buy, listen to this tape or this discourse, get this book. It will help you as you go into year 2021. Very powerful.
2022.
2022, sorry. Very powerful. You need to listen to this, because this discourse expatiates more. One thing as a writer too is that you can't write everything.
No.
And this platform gives us that opportunity to actually talk about what we can write, but we don't write, or the idea that we just summarize, that we don't develop or discuss at length.
Yeah. In addition to that, there's no way you can't write everything down. It's what you're able to practice that counts.
That counts. And this is why habits coming.
Yeah. So that's why when you engage yourself in, then you start learning. And so the most important thing is for you to become aware of the foundational knowledge and start practicing it. Then you expand and grow. That's the point.
Let's talk about habits generally. I wanted us to little bit talk about relationship, but we've been talking about that. So the relationship that will help you to look at the main thing and the things that depend on the main thing. But let's talk about habits, because we are creation of habits.
Right.
Good or bad. Let's talk about that, and then we'll wrap up for today.
That's powerful. I think that's what we've been talking about, or we spent almost like 7% of our discussion on this year talking about mindset. So habit is a mindset. To put it in a simple way. That means what you have conditioned your mind to. Conditioned.
So you condition your mind, and then your body just follow after. It becomes a natural response.
Yeah, exactly. And which is the key thing. And now we have been conditioned to one pattern or the other right from our childhood. Our life experiences has conditioned us to a pattern. Then that's where the breakthrough comes into place, because while we are a child, it's like you have no choice. The responsibility of your lives are on your parents. And it depends on the conditioning of the parent, the environment, the culture. That's the way you've been brought up. And all those things, and that comes could be a barrier for you to move, to fulfill your goal.
So if I grew up in a place where nobody is actually putting any responsibility on me, where I make excuse or parents make excuse for their actions or blame other people for their behaviors, I need God to help me, create a different mindset or narrative.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about the habit of living well then, because this the last 3 sessions is about discussing our books,
right?
And then we target live well. Then let's talk about the habits that can help us to live well,
right?
In a nutshell. So we talk about planning here today. We talk about understanding your purpose. That's you make it to be focused, not drifting. And we say, okay, planning is very key if you want to keep your focus.
Yeah.
Because that's a habit. You got to learn. You got to be in that frame of mind where you plan. You create that habit.
Plan your week, plan your day, plan your month, plan your year.
Plan your money.
Plan your money. So now back to I love it. That's when I remember where we're talking about this authentic life 360. So we're not talking about the circle, your finance, your relationship, your health, your spiritual life, your physical life, so your career life, your social life, right? What's the plan, right, for it?
And you I think you mentioned something. You wrote something about relationship in the book, yes, where you talk about what do you want to achieve in your relationship? What kind of relationship should you have?
Right.
How do you go about it?
Right. And back to this point that maybe once relationship is limited to your community, all right, and you don't have a relationship with someone that understands finance, you don't have a relationship with someone that understands health, you don't have a relationship with someone that has on how to manage the family, and just be, and all what we've been brought up to do is just go to school, go to work, come back. Then there's this work-life balance. Right.
So I feel like we can continue to discuss and discuss. But I guess we need to wrap up today. We've talked a lot, and you just need to go get it. And then just briefly, you now mentioned the 7 habits that we need to develop. Just briefly, you talk about we need to be clear. We need to desire it. We need to believe it.
Right.
We need to affirm it.
Right.
We need to be disciplined.
Right.
We need to learn it.
Right.
Yes, I think that's all I got here.
And be persistent, right?
And be persistent. That's the discipline number 7. Be persistent.
Right.
Yeah. It's very, very briefly. Let's talk about that affirming it. Say something to our viewers today about affirming.
Yeah, and this affirming now comes into stories that we tell ourselves. I am weak. I am poor. I am not intelligent. All those are negative words that comes out of our mind, or we think, and also feel, right? That we become unconscious of. And this is when coming to know where you want to be is key. Where you keep saying it, start changing your story, start assuming it as it's already done. And I will learn that from the scripture, right? It says, it's talking about faith here. It's the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. That's that substance of things hoped for is assuming it. Then when you begin to assume something, then you come to affirm it too, declare it, and it comes to this affirmation too, right? I am whole, I am well, I am wealthy, right? I am healthy. Start to see yourself. That's the affirmation. Now it helps us to start to recreate and reprogram the mindset.
To get into the habit of speaking well.
Yes.
Of blessing yourself, because affirmation about blessing yourself. I was studying the definition of blessing, and one of the definitions is to speak well of somebody.
Wow.
So when you are blessing yourself, so every time you said I am able, what you are saying is that you're just speaking well of yourself. So when God blessed Adam, he spoke well of him.
So it's hardening, right? That's creating something. When you have, you're blessing someone, that you're adding to some good thing to someone. Right. So that's what he's saying.
So I'm healthy. That
is creating. Yeah, you're creating that state.
And I'm wealthy. I am solid. Right. I am bold. I'm confident.
Yeah. You're not looking at the appearances, but and that's one thing I keep the length. That is key to being able to overcome the appearances of things. That put that at the back of your mind, that you are creating with God when you speak.
Because you are creating a firmness.
Exactly.
Because there's a firm stability.
Yeah. Right.
So when you are affirming something, you are actually speaking stability into place.
Exactly. Thank you. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. So sometimes you want to start looking at the condition. Oh, it's not so. But the more you affirm it, the more you speak it and see it as real, right? That you're creating it that way. It's a process of creation.
Because whatever God said is God's reality.
Yeah.
So
then we have to now take action to manifest it.
Because it's a reality. So when I'm speaking it, I should see myself, because that creates my reality.
Yeah.
Whatever I say creates my reality.
And I read a book where it says, when we start to do that, then it says we now become one with God in creation. So when I zoom in, then it's gonna trigger this creativity.
Because you are now one. You are not taking your place.
Right. And that's what we do. We misuse that power. When you start affirming that thing you do not want, worry. That's what Job also says, what I feared has come upon me, because you also trigger that creativity too. That we attract all those things you are saying too. So that's where the control comes into place. And where you consciously choose what you want.
And that is a form of creating habit.
Exactly. Creation habit, yeah. I think it says it's on the book too. Right. It's a creation process.
So habit is creating.
Yes.
And what we have created in the years back, that's what we are living at now.
Yeah, living like, thank you, sir. Exactly.
So if I want to live differently, I have to create a different habit and mindset to live.
You said it all.
So that means
powerful.
I can actually we still have time. I think, that means we can actually create our own breakthrough by our habit, by changing our habits.
Changing everything, become conscious and taking control of it. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't have to stay stuck.
No. And that's the point that we're talking about there. Then staying stuck is a position of helplessness. If you read through my source, so you become helpless because you think someone should help you. They're not helping you. You think someone should change. They're not changing. Then you become paralyzed. You can't move. So that breakthrough comes into that, taking that responsibility, knowing where you want to go, believe that, yes, this is possible with God. Right. Then it keeps affirming it to change your story, seeing yourself in that place, Then start to plan, right? That planning now triggers this question, different question. What do I need to do to get this? Then start writing them down. So you now know where you need to get help, as you just mentioned. Okay, who do I need to talk to? Oh, what can I delegate? Oh, who do I need to reach? See, one is in control. Right. At that point. Right. And schedule it and do whatever you can do. Then other than just sitting down, waking up every day, keep telling yourself stories. Say, we are powerful. We are creation of God. And God has deposited all those power in us. And if you're not making use of it, then we now get stuck. You know, being stuck means you have become paralyzed.
So the question we need to ask ourselves and our viewers is, what else can happen? And how can I create the habit to make it happen?
Yeah.
Because whatever has happened is what is you are living in right now.
Your reality, my reality.
So we can create we can create a different future by what we start doing today. We don't have to wait until future to make the change for the future. We have to create a new future from today.
I think that's the main thing, creating a new future. That's the point.
And this book will help you in the process, whether it's in your marriage, whether it's in your career, whether it's your health. It's not wish. Life doesn't answer to wish. Lives take commitment and effort.
Yes.
And those are what helps us to be disciplined.
Yes.
And as we're disciplined, we create a different habit. And then change the narratives. We know that you can make it. We know that you can be successful. We know that 2022 can be a different ball game for you, a different new year. And we're not talking about creating New Year's, all these things.
Resolution.
No, we're not talking about resolution. We're talking about creating a new narrative going forward. And you don't have to wait until January 1 to do that. You can start doing that right now. So that you can learn how to reprioritize yourself, reprioritize your task. See what you are doing that you should not even be doing at all. See how you are spending your time that you shouldn't be spending your time on at all.
Right.
And see what you can do differently, where you can actually cut back on some things and increase some things. What kind of habit you can do. Some people, they keep on spending, and they keep on complaining that they don't have. Sometimes you need to go back, look at how much you are spending.
What are you spending it on?
What you are spending on, why you are spending it on that thing.
Why? Exactly. That's the purpose. Exactly.
Because it's about purpose. Remember where we started from. It's about purpose.
Yeah. And that's where creating those goals now comes to the place. In those different areas, my finance, what do I want? How much do I want to, have by this time of my life? So you have to be intentional. So don't just sit down there and keep praying. And it's a different topic entirely. When people say, so come and give your money and somebody's going to show up. It's just been silly, right? Take control of your life. You can determine how much you want and work towards it. As opposed to expecting someone. You now become someone else messy, out of control.
So I think we should go now because and I know you've been blessed. Emmanuel, thank you very much. You've been a blessing to us on this platform. I've gained a lot. I've grown a lot, and I'm still learning. To know how to put what belongs where there, and they create the habit to sustain it. It's a very powerful tool, and we'll be back next year. And next year we're going to be looking at the spirituality aspect of our mentality. Because sometimes I think people are confused, I'm a spiritual being, so I don't think. No, the reason you need to think is because you're a spiritual being.
Right.
You can't separate your spirituality from any area of your life. No. It is spiritual that is the foundation. Your mind is not the foundation, it's the spiritual. But if we have not learned how to bridge that and blend that and let our spirit being controls everything we do, we won't go far. We want you to go far. and it's going to be powerful. Yeah, it's going to be powerful. Any last word you want to talk to people as we wrap up today? I'll give you the last word for the year.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much for always having me on the show to discuss. It's always an opportunity to just come back and express what we have learned from our experience, what we have learned from study as well. Sometimes what we've discussed this year is not about what we know how to do more best, but we're just sharing the study, what our experiences, and we try to bring people along, right? Let's come into this journey and let's make life fulfilling. We're talking about fulfillment. It's part of doing this, is part of us fulfilling our life purpose too, right? So we want to bring people along this path rather than just allowing people just to stay there, discouraged and not lost, right? So I just want to encourage you, if you're listening to this, be part of this journey with us and subscribe. And now we're going to improve on a lot of stuff. More programs are coming this coming month, the coming year, and we just wanted to be part of the journey. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity, for giving me the opportunity to be part of this journey, to be able to express my own purpose too. So I really want to say thank you very much. And it also helps me to become more committed too, right? To know, yes, we have people that I can talk to and where I can learn to. So thank you very much. And I hope this coming year too, I have the plan, I have the goal to be able to function better.
Okay, yeah, we love that. Right? And that's the goal to better. Yeah, to shoot high, to keep on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah. I've learned a lot. It's been a journey that I do not take for granted. We started some few years ago, and it's just been powerful things that has not been taught before, that we've even read. There are some things that it just pop up like that, based on inspiration or God's inspiration on our lives. And
right.
We, like he said, want you to. And if you are looking for a personal coach, Emanuel is a certified coach. Get his book. Go. Can you tell us where to get your book?
It's on Amazon. If you go to my website too, it's linked to the Amazon website to Amazon page. So, but ultimately, I'll just say when you just Google search Ultimate Breakthrough by Emanuel Shidali, it's gonna come up. But I have some programs coming up, probably next year. We're planning ultimately to start to do more of the online courses, and then maybe do one or monthly life coaching, sessions, maybe once in a month or thereabout, where, like most of those principles we're discussing today, we just come and teach it and just discuss about it. And if you have any question about, I will definitely, run different promotion with regards to that, and depending on what I really want to do. But I have a plan, but just want to try to, bring people along the journey of this development, being able to break through and fulfill our purpose on earth. So, but basically, you can get it on Amazon for now.
Do you mind sharing your website and your email in case somebody want to, or your anchor on social media, in case somebody want to start following you? That would be helpful.
Yeah. So my email is Emi Shidali. You can see it on my name there, emishidali@gmail.com. And my social handle is also Emi Shidali on Instagram and on Facebook, and also on Twitter. But I use mostly those three handles as well. So hopefully I'm planning to come up to build up, to start publish some maybe short videos or on tips next year on YouTube. So I see how that goes. So everything just it's just time sensitive, so I have to prioritize. But I rather say let me just focus on those three social media handles for now. Then my website is also emishidali.com. So also trying to build this community where it's called shidalilearning.com. So this is where I plan to start doing the courses and everything. So, but maybe sometimes next year that's going to happen. But for now, it's emishidali.com.
Yeah, I follow him too. I think the last post was talking about habits, overcoming some barriers. So you will learn a lot, you will learn a lot. We're going to end up now. Just, enjoy yourself. This is going to be the last one for the year. So enjoy yourself. Have a very, very wonderful Christmas. And, we're looking towards a very solid 2022.
Yes.
But we make it. Okay?
Yes.
God in us. And I want to give you an assignment. If you don't have the Bible, that's okay. Go Google it. Genesis 1:26. Let that be that mantra as you go forward this coming year. Genesis 1:26. So that you will know the original intention of your Creator when He made human beings. And the Bible talks about in Isaiah, it says God made the earth to be inhabited by people. We are not here to just exist. We are here because we are to contribute, and that is where our worth comes from our creation as the image of God, and for what we contribute as the image of God. Okay, so we're looking forward to a powerful 2022. But until then, stay connected. Our social media. Emi has shared his own with you on Getting Life 360. On Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. On all the social handle. Listen to these videos again and again. Stay inspired. Don't let anybody kill your dream and your energy. And stay empowered. Go for it. You can do it because you are able. Everything you need, like he said, is in you right now. Find a place of expression and express yourself. That is what it's like. And at the end of the day, you will hear, well done, good and faithful servant. You take care. Have a good one.
All right.
And enjoy
See
yourself.
you next year.
Yes, see you in some few weeks in the next year. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.